In the Navajo tradition, there is a prohibition against speaking about certain topics. Not a cultural preference, a prohibition rooted in the belief that naming and describing some entities draws their attention. The Skinwalker is one of them. This is part of why the accounts that do exist are rare, and why the people willing to give them on record are rarer still. What follows is drawn from those accounts. Tonight, the Skinwalker, not the pop culture version, not the Hollywood interpretation, what the documented accounts from the American Southwest actually describe, and what real witnesses have reported. Within Navajo tradition, a Skinwalker, Yenaldlushi in the Diné language, the Navajo people's own name for themselves, meaning roughly with it he goes on all fours, is understood to be a person who has acquired the ability to transform into or take the appearance of an animal through specific ritualistic means. The process involves a deliberate transgression of cultural and spiritual law. It is not accidental, it is chosen. The resulting entity is considered profoundly dangerous, not because of physical threat alone, but because of a broader capacity for harm that extends beyond the physical. Navajo teachings treat discussion of skinwalkers as something that invites contact. Most traditional Navajo people will not describe them in detail to outsiders. Many will not discuss them at all. What makes the documented accounts from non-Navajo witnesses unusual is how closely they track the traditional description, despite coming from people with no cultural framework for what they were seeing. Before discussing tonight's accounts, it's worth noting the pattern of silence around this subject. Of the witnesses who have reported encounters in the American Southwest and agreed to have their accounts documented, the majority requested anonymity. Several withdrew their accounts after initially agreeing to submit them. One researcher who spent 3 years collecting accounts in the Four Corners region noted that the most credible witnesses, those with the most specific and consistent accounts, were also the most reluctant to speak. The reason given in most cases was not embarrassment or concern about credibility. It was fear. Specifically, the fear that describing the encounter in detail would draw a recurrence. That pattern, the reluctance of the most credible witnesses, is one of the more notable features of Skinwalker stories. Tonight's first account comes from a truck driver in New Mexico. In the fall of 2017, a truck driver traveling a 2-lane highway in northwestern New Mexico in the early hours of the morning reported the following account to a regional paranormal investigator approximately 6 months after the incident occurred. He had not spoken about it publicly prior to that submission. He was driving at approximately 65 miles per hour on a straight, flat section of highway. His headlights picked up an animal on the shoulder, initially assessed as a large dog or coyote. He slowed instinctively. As he drew closer, the animal stood upright. Not in the manner of a bear, but smoothly, in a single fluid motion, as though standing on 2 legs was natural. It turned toward the vehicle. He described the face as human in its proportions, but wrong in its details. The eyes reflected the headlights fully, not the brief flash of a normal animal, but a sustained, flat reflection. The body was covered in what appeared to be dark animal fur, but the hands were human hands. Not paws, hands. It watched the truck pass. He did not stop. He submitted the account 6 months later because he stated he needed to tell someone who would not dismiss it immediately. He asked that his name not be attached to it. He has not driven that route since. Tonight's second account comes from a family who worked the same land for 2 generations and who only agreed to talk about it after years of staying quiet. The area surrounding the Uinta Basin in northeastern Utah has produced a consistent volume of Skinwalker-adjacent accounts over several decades. The property that became publicly known as Skinwalker Ranch is the most documented location, but it is not the only one in the region. A ranching family that had operated in the area for 2 generations submitted a series of accounts through a regional investigator in the early 2000s. The accounts spanned approximately 4 years and involved multiple family members across separate incidents. The first incident involved the family's cattle dogs refusing to approach a section of fence line along the property's northern perimeter for a period of several weeks. The dogs would stop at a specific point, consistently the same point, and would not move forward regardless of command. The second incident involved one of the adult sons observing from approximately 80 yards a large figure moving along the same fence line at night. His description matched the truck driver's account from New Mexico in 2 specific details: the upright posture and the hands. The third incident, the one the family was most reluctant to describe, involved a sound heard by multiple family members on the same night from inside the house. A sound described as a human voice attempting to replicate an animal call. The approximation was close enough to identify the intended animal, and wrong enough to be unmistakably not the animal. They did not go outside that night. They did not investigate the sound. The account was submitted with the specific request that the property's location not be identified. Across documented Skinwalker accounts from the American Southwest, the recurring details are specific. The upright posture from an animal form, the human hands observed on an otherwise animal body, the eye reflection, the voice, either mimicking a known person's voice or approximating an animal call in a way that is close but deliberately, unsettlingly wrong, and the behavioral detail that appears most consistently across accounts from witnesses who had no prior knowledge of the Navajo tradition: the watching, not threatening, not aggression, observation, patient, sustained, and without apparent agenda. The truck driver from New Mexico did not know what he was looking at. The ranching family in Utah had lived in the area for 2 generations and had heard the stories but had never given them serious weight. Both accounts described the same thing. The accounts in this video are drawn from submitted witness testimony and documented investigator records. They are presented as reported. The tradition they connect to is real, and the people who hold it treat it with a seriousness that the accounts, on their own merits, seem to warrant. New accounts every week. If you've had an encounter of your own from the Four Corners region or anywhere in the Southwest, leave it in the comments below. You don't have to prove anything. Just tell us what you saw. Keep the lights on.